Hi, in this episode, I am being brutally honest about a trend that is spreading like wildfire on the internet, specifically in the online coaching community. And that is the inflation of revenue numbers in marketing, the faking of one's own sales in effort to ironically earn more trust and more revenue. Now, I have what I think is an interesting take on this that may surprise you. So if you have ever inflated your numbers, or maybe you've been tempted to inflate your numbers, which I have, and I'm going to talk about that, or you're simply deeply bothered by this concept, which I also am, so it goes both ways, you are going to want to take a listen. Welcome to All In with Allie, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I am so happy you are here. Okay, so in case you're living under a rock or you really are just super unaware of what's happening and what I'm talking about here, here's the tea. People out there are faking their numbers. So what this looks like is they will shift words around or in a lot of cases flat out lie about their annual revenue, their income, their monthly revenue, maybe their profit, whatever, right? They're taking the truth and they're spinning it, and in most cases, inflating it to make it seem as if they are more successful than what they actually are. So it's really no surprise that this is a thing, right? It's like people lie all the time. I'm sure this happens in all industries. So like we get that. But I do believe it's becoming more rampant. And I want to talk about it, not from the perspective of like, shame on you, you need to stop doing this, but like a real, true, open conversation. Because like I said, I've been tempted to do this. I will own that. And I realize that might ruin my credibility with some people. Like that I don't know, but I'm just being real with you. Okay. Like I could sit here and be like, how dare you? But it is tempting. Like the landscape of social media and content and the way that people throw around numbers like confetti. And by the way, I'm one of these people. It gets hot in the room, right? And when you get hot, you're likely to do things that aren't reflective of who you actually are or what you really want to be known for and I don't know, like your true heart, okay? And by the way, I just want to clarify, not to like shame anybody, but I do think it's important because I am a business coach and I work very closely with women. So I do want to clarify when I say I've been tempted to do this, I'm a marketer at heart, okay? So like my job is to spin specific and like pull specific details, the things that's going to get my ideal client's attention the most. So I've never been tempted to go in Canva and add like a digit to my numbers or anything or like flat out lie. It's been more of like a creative spin, right? Either way, it's not true. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's definitely in the same vein, but I do want to be clear because I do think there is a difference for sure. And as a leader of women, I just want to be very clear. That's what I'm talking about. Like as a marketer, how can we say this in a way that isn't fully accurate, but like it's loosely accurate? It's based on truth, but not fully true. Okay, cool. Anyway, again, there's a fine language between using enticing language and sharing the most attractive bits of information versus straight up bold-faced lying. But either way, no matter where you fall, no big deal. Let's clean it up. So I had to check myself, straight up, had to check myself. So here are the most obvious repercussions to lying about your numbers. So there's two like super obvious ones, and then there's the one that is really going to send this home for you that I think is going to surprise you. And I really was shocked also because I was scrolling stories a few days ago. Well, no, this is a while ago. And a friend of mine actually posted a story that made my jaw hit the floor. And she was talking about how there was a person, I don't know who the person is, who actually taught how to do this in a course. she taught how to essentially Photoshop screenshots of your numbers to make them look bigger in Canva. And she like literally taught this in a course. Shamelessly. And that surprised the hell out of me. Like that level of shamelessness, I will never be able to relate to. But I was like, okay, this is a really, 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 really big deal. And again, for reasons that may surprise you. So, like I said, the internet's a wild place. People are, and I fully get it. And like, I always like interrupt my own thoughts. My brain is just, but it's this trend lately to share numbers. And there are a lot of people who have a lot of thoughts around this and who hate this and who hate on this. I actually don't hate it at all. It's women who were bold enough and honest and brave enough to share their numbers in the first place that got me into this industry, that made me see what was possible and play a really big game myself. So this is in no way, shape, or form shaming anybody for sharing their numbers. If your numbers are true and are they're not inflated and you're freaking killing it, or you want to share it for whatever reason, share on. That is totally your right. And there are always going to be people on one side who hate that, but then there are going to be people like me who love it and who see it as motivational and aspirational and who may want to learn from you because they see how great you are. But then there's always a spectrum to this, and it always gets taken to an extreme. So the more that women have started to become honest and sharing their numbers, the more that it creates this pressure for other people and also this environment that's ripe for comparison, where people are looking at other people's numbers and saying, well, shoot, I can't compete with that. Like she's talking about how she's earning whatever number it is, and I'm making half of that or a quarter of that. How can I compete? And that's what happens. And this is where I got tempted, right? So like in 2022, I was seeing all of this growth, all of this momentum, insane numbers. And then in 2023, I experienced this really big dip. And I've been so honest about this, and I've shared why that's so. And honestly, how it was a smart business move on my end to accept a cut in revenue. And it was intentional because I could have like sold all of my time away and gotten back up to those numbers like I did in the first place. But I decided to take a step back and slowly scale my business, which I've been talking about in the past few episodes. If you go back and look at, just go listen to all of August episodes so far. I talk about my rocket fuel strategy and how this has been like working again really well. But instead of non-scaled numbers, mostly scaled numbers, which is incredible. But before this started working and clicking into place, I felt the pressure, and the pressure is real. Like, I don't care how holier than thou you are. It's hard out here sometimes, and it really can feel so discombobulating, and it can feel as if you are the smallest business or you don't know anything, again, because other people are sharing these numbers. And you're looking at the black and white of it and you're like, well, shoot, maybe I'm not as good as I thought. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But here's the thing. Maybe their numbers are real. Maybe they're not real. But furthermore, I do think our expertise and what we bring to the table is beyond the numbers. Now, if you are teaching people how to make money, then that may be different. But I'm saying all of this to say, like, I'm not going to sit here and shame anybody for feeling tempted to do something that they normally wouldn't do out of maybe a moment of desperation or whatever the case may be, because I've felt what that feels like. And I had to catch myself, and I had to coach myself and be like, okay, wait a second. why would I ever consider doing that? Right? Like, what does that say about me? And where is this coming from? And what are the repercussions of that? Like, I really went there. And I'm so thankful that I did, because it's allowed me to bring this conversation here and empathize with people and share with you what I discovered myself before making a decision that I feel like I would have deeply, deeply regretted. Okay. So I say that just like level the playing field. I get it. It's hard out here, but there's other ways. And my hope is that if you hear my take on this, not only are you going to not feel tempted to do these snaky, schemy strategies anymore, but you're actually going to be more excited and have more belief in doing it an honest way. Okay? Because if you really understood the weight of the repercussions from going down that darker path, and by the way, this could be faking numbers. I feel like in the same vein of this is stealing other people's content, whether you like literally steal it and take it as your own, or you like loosely repurpose it, but like that's not yours. That's in the same vein. What else? I made it a list. Oh gosh, another big one that's huge in the coaching industry is selling outcomes that you're not qualified to sell, selling transformations that you haven't done yourself or you haven't nailed yourself. Maybe you've done it once, but like you certainly are not an expert in this thing, yet you're selling it as if you are. These are all in the same vein. It's all in the same vein. Okay. So if you've done it, okay, it's in the past. Let's talk about it and let's shift this for you. If you haven't done it, let's really shift this for you and let's amplify the positive decisions that you've continued to make so that you continue to make them. Okay. So the first most obvious repercussion about lying about our numbers, stealing content, selling outcomes, whatever, straight up, this is giving our industry a bad rep. Now, I realize some people don't care about that. Some people, they're just here to make a quick buck. They don't have a very strong moral backbone. So like, I'm not speaking to you then. Like, if you don't care about the industry you're in, if you don't care about lying and being a phony, well then I honestly, I'm a little jealous. Honestly, I'm like, really? But like a little bit. So this wouldn't be for you. But for those of you who care, who want to make a career out of this, you guys, we don't like, forgive me for saying this, but I feel like honest people will get it. We don't want to be like the next MLM industry. Remember what happened to the MLM industry? It was like cool and it started to boom, and then it got really icky. And it sucks because a lot of people in the MLM industry are doing great work. They really believe in what they're selling. A lot of people are very successful because they are people of integrity and they're helping other people build wealth and they're helping other people get healthy or whatever the transformation is. But because so many people came in full wild, wild west trying to turn a buck, no matter at what cost, it turned it from this like growing, interesting option to now like snake oil, salesy ick. And unfortunately, like that stench is still there. It just is. Like, I'm sorry. And I don't feel that way. I know I have clients that are, in the MLM space, and I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great option. But you can't deny that the stench is still there. Do we want that to happen with the coaching space? Do we want to become the next Hulu documentary where they're essentially like making fun of us and poking holes and like making us all look phony? No. But when we do shit like this and we're not talking about it and we let it run rampant, that's how this stuff goes really bad. That's how this stuff turns rotten and starts to stink. And I care about the coaching industry. This is my career, right? And like the potential and the good work and so many women that truly are doing good, life-changing, trajectory-changing work. I don't want to make a mockery of that. So this is really, really, really important. We have to, like, if we will not be honest, and I realize the coaching industry isn't regulated. And I personally like it like that. I think it's cool that like we kind of get to figure this out and we get to play and we get to do extraordinary things and earn extraordinary money and live extraordinary lives and be these outliers of society through our businesses. But I do feel that if we don't keep this in check, and if we aren't holding all of ourselves to a higher standard and glorifying and glamorizing a higher standard of honesty in our industry, that it will become regulated and then the party is over. I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to happen. So the standard is key, right? Like we don't need the government to come in and make these bullshit standards for us. Let's do it for ourselves so that we don't ring any alarms and make a mockery and then become overly regulated. And then again, the party's over. Boring. I don't want that to happen. So stop. The second massive, more obvious repercussion of any of those things, inflating your numbers, stealing content, whatever, you can be found out. Imagine nobody would hire you again. How devastating. A moment of weakness, a moment of comparison where you validate this for yourself, you make it seem like okay for whatever reason. Like, what if somebody found out? What if somebody called you out and demanded that you prove and you can't prove it? And I know what you're thinking. Well, I don't have to show my numbers to anybody. Like, you can't just like make somebody okay, but you can't hide forever. And also, wouldn't that look pretty bad? I think that would pretty much speak for itself. No? Think about that. That would be detrimental to your career, to your reputation. No, like that to me freaks me out. But here's the third piece. Here is the one that I really, really, really want you to hear. I feel like this is the biggest and the least understood repercussion out of all of them. When you do something like inflate your numbers and lie, like flat out lie, you are literally making yourself a match for less energetically. You are making yourself a match or a mismatch energetically to what it is that you want. And here is why. Self-respect. Self-respect. Like I said, if you have a moral bone in your body, this is not the route for you. If you don't, and we know there are people all the time, right? Like there are a lot of, I'm not going to label them bad people, but there are less moral people all the time who do really weird, messed up shit and become wildly successful. They are the outliers. They are the exception to the rule because they don't need that or at least they don't look at this as a bad thing. Okay. So if you don't look at it as a bad thing, if you lack that moral integrity, then whatever, do you. Just don't get found out, right? Like be good or be good at it type vibe. But if you do have that moral integrity as a human, lying in any way, shape, or form is going to energetically make you a match for the opposite of what you want. Why? Because you can only receive what you believe you deserve. Life is a mirror to you. And I may not know that your numbers are fake. The internet may not know that your numbers are fake, but you know your numbers are fake. You know you're lying. You know that is a lie. And not only are you being dishonest to people who are potentially paying you really good money and trusting your word, but you're lying to yourself on top of that. So when your goal is to be a match for more, whether that be clients, money, respect, acclaim, success, what do you think is a match to that frequency? To a frequency of all that, right? So like if life is a mirror, if you attract what it is that you are, who it is that you are, if like attracts like, what do you think that those things are a frequency of, right? Clients, money, respect, acclaim, success, the things that we want as business owners, that we value, that we want to attract more of. They're probably more on the frequency of confidence, self-respect, dignity, and overall just being an elevated human. High standards. But when you inflate, when you lie, that is more on the frequency of phoniness, disrespect, self-disrespect, dishonesty, and not to mention the lowest frequency of all, which is fear. Because if you put something out there, I don't care whether you think it's okay or not, you still are a human and you are going to have some sort of fear of being found out. And as content creators who are growing our businesses on Instagram, our job is to be seen. Our hope is for our posts to go viral. Otherwise, why would you make it? So if you're putting out this content in hopes to be seen by more people so that more people come to you and follow you and build trust with you and ultimately buy from you, but you're blocking yourself with this fear of being found out, you will keep yourself hidden. So the strategy doesn't work anyway. You just keep yourself hidden because you don't want to be seen, because more eyeballs means more potential to be found out that you're being a phony. Now, sometimes it's in people's highest good to be found out and to go very viral and then be made an example by the universe. I don't know about you. I don't want that either, right? Like those are not fun options that I would choose on a menu of my life experience. But that's what you're setting yourself up for. That's what people don't realize. You think, oh, who cares? It's just, I know I'm really this good. It's just I'm having a crappy month or so I bet they're lying. So why can't I do it? Like you think it's that deep, but it's so much deeper than that on an energetic level. Fighting against yourself. You're playing yourself. It doesn't work. We have to have standards. They are so important. Those are the things, like if you hold a high standard for yourself, even if your numbers are comparatively lower than somebody else's, your self-respect alone, you allowing yourself to honestly build yourself up to whatever level you want to be, the confidence that builds, the dignity that builds, and then your numbers get there because you're a match for it. You're an honest match for it. And then when you shout those numbers out from the world, you have no shame. You have no fear. You're proud AF. You're begging people to ask you to prove it. Right? Like that's what we want to get to. And I promise you will get there so much faster if you just trust the process and you do what you need to do. And you trust that in divine timing, if you honor yourself and honor your integrity and set a high standard, you set a high bar, you are now a match for everything that is at the frequency of that, including clients. People can feel it. They can sniff it out a mile away. And that's another repercussion, right? Whether people can put a finger on it or not, if you're paying attention, you can sniff it out. You just know. We're better than that. This industry is better than that. So I have elevated my own standards and I invite you to do the same. And it's still audacious August. We're still working toward these really big goals in our life, in our business, everywhere in between. And this is where it starts. What are the standards that you have for your business, for yourself, for how you feel, for how you compose yourself, for how you show up, for what you do behind the scenes? That's where it counts. You can act perfect and like whatever you want on the internet all day, but you're with yourself all day, whether you're on the camera or not. I may not know, but you know. You cannot fool yourself. Okay? I hope this was helpful for you. If you're like, okay, I'm ready to do this the quote right way, the honest way, the way that's actually going to get you results faster, I invite you to still check out the Rocket Fuel Strategy, the free YouTube video. I'll link it. And I will also link my newest program. It's low ticket. It's called Create Money Stacking Offers Now. And it's how you create offers that money stack. This is how I've scaled my business. I went kind of backwards, and how I've gotten my revenue back up myself from following or creating offers in this way. So I will link that because, again, it's low ticket. It's easy to get in. It's easy to learn. You could watch it within a day. It's like 2.5 hours long. Good stuff. I will link that. So if you need support, it is there for you. I love you. No shame at all. Start today. Raise the bar and be an example of how good we all get to be and become. I love you. I will see you next week.